Ladies and gentlemen, the Senators today have traded Dylan DeMelo to the Winnipeg Jets for a third-round pick. If you're a Jets fan watching this should be a good day for you. Dylan DeMelo is a hell of a defenseman, and in fact, I believe he's one of the most underrated defensemen in the National Hockey League. The Senators today screwed up. DeMelo should have been and could have been the method to Carlson. DeMelo could have been Chabot's method. He's a stable defenseman with great analytic statistics, drives the play well, and is always consistently playing well. You don't get that for cheap. Yesterday, Andy Green was traded for a second-round pick and David Quenneville, a defensive prospect. DeMelo is better, arguably, than Andy Green on a better contract and younger, and you got less of a return. Before we get into my opinion, let's talk about the deal. Firstly, Dylan DeMelo has been traded to the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets needing a blue liner. They got a hell of a one here for a third-round pick in the 2020 draft. Yes, I like draft picks. Yes, I like prospects. But when you have a guy like Dylan DeMelo who is worth more than a third-round pick, this one pisses me off. If the deal was just for a third-round pick, Dylan DeMelo should have been resigned. Should have been. If it was a second-round pick, I can understand it. But a third-round pick? Are you kidding me? When Tyler Ennis, God bless him, good hockey player, but Dylan DeMelo is worth more on the market right now, is being questioned potentially as a third-round pick in return for him, for his services. Dylan DeMelo should be warranting a second-round pick. This is ridiculous. And before I continue into my in-depth analysis on the trade and how Dylan DeMelo is as a player for Winnipeg Jets watching this, and I will as well react to your comments, couple of things. Firstly, I am going to go through a few stats, and as well, I'm doing this live stream because I'm going to the Chris Phillips retirement ceremony today. So if you want to go to that game, buy tickets, especially SeatGeek.com, download that from the App Store. Use the promo code SENS. You will save $20 off your first purchase. I'm going to the game tonight for $10. So use the code. You'll save a lot of money and get to go to a good game and support Big Rig. The Senators now have 2 first-rounders, 3 second-rounders, and 2 third-rounders in the 2020 draft. That is really good. However, Dylan DeMelo should have been a second-rounder, not a third-rounder. And the fact the Senators got a third-rounder for him speaks volumes to how they evaluate talent, that they thought that Nikita Zaitsev and other players are better. The Senators' right side defensive pairing depth is absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal for the upcoming year or two. DeMelo is the perfect stopgap, the perfect guy to be with Chabot, and they just let him go. Firstly, DeMelo's first game is likely going to be against the Senators, like we've seen this often in the last few years, as the Senators are taking on the Winnipeg Jets on Thursday. As well, there were contract negotiations between the Ottawa Senators and Dylan DeMelo, but DeMelo's agent Brian McDonald, according to Pierre LeBrun, says they never got an official contract offer from the Senators. Not one offer was given. So what does this mean? It means the Senators were willing to trade him, and that they thought Borowiecki, who I like and I want to be re-signed, and Zaitsev were okay to keep. That, I think we should have seen this coming a while ago when Mike Reilly was traded to Ottawa on a 2-year deal. It was writing in the room, writing on the wall. So overall, Dylan DeMelo this year, 49 games played. He had 10 points, all assists, but it doesn't really speak volumes because the Senators didn't really deploy him to the abilities he could have played. Dylan DeMelo last year with Chabot was really good. And in fact, like I said with Method and Carlson, it was the same type of thing. DeMelo worried about the defensive type of things and let Chabot skate up and use his skill and skating abilities to create plays. If I'm a Winnipeg Jets fan watching this right now, and if you are wondering what DeMelo is like, he's a stable defenseman for a second pairing, maybe even a first pairing with the right guy who is on a cheap contract, who's young, and just does the little things that overwhelmingly win you the game. You look at advanced stats, and he's one of the most underrated defensemen in the National Hockey League. One of the most underrated. And Pierre Dorion really screwed up this trade. He really did. DeMelo should have been nothing more than a second-round pick. And if you were okay with a third-round pick, hold on for at least a few more days. The trade deadline is in 6 days. If you were just going to get a third-round pick, you could have got that 15 minutes before the deadline. force a second-round pick. So anyways, if you're a Jets fan, I'd be really happy. And if I'm as SENS fans, DeMelo, obviously acquired in the Erik Karlsson deal. And SENS fans grew to love him. If you're a Jets fan, you're going to start loving this guy because 2 reasons. He's funny, and he's great in the locker room. You just have to look up some Senators content from the official YouTube page or Twitter, and you can see he had a movie series coming out basically. This just sucks. I'm really upset about this because, it shows how they value talent. It shows the abilities the Senators management has to trade players, and it really makes me worried about a potential return for Jean-Gabriel Pageau. Now let's take a look at a couple comments. Firstly, SenFan86, he or she says I like the trade. Everyone's allowed to have an opinion. I would disagree. Eddie Benhin says whack trade. I agree with that. Terrible trade, especially with the marketplace being set right now with Andy Green being a second-round pick and a prospect. DeMelo should have gotten at least a second-rounder. Matthew Gregory, this was a bad trade. Nothing good came out of it. I think what the heck was pure thinking. The Jets got a great deal and a steal of a deal as well. I agree. This was a terrible deal, and the Jets really won this one. The deal was crap, and we should have a level prospect and a second. Nick Stoucy says I disagree. Dylan DeMelo doesn't warrant an A prospect and a second-round pick. Dylan DeMelo, one of the most underrated defensemen in the National Hockey League, though, does warrant a second-round pick and a prospect. Is Andy Green, former captain of the New Jersey Devils, good player, good resume. Dylan DeMelo, less of a resume, but better advanced statistics. And I'm sure they could have forced a second-round pick. Fate Lunar says he kind of likes it. He or she says, I kind of like the deal. That's okay. Saif Ali Khan says brutal trade, as if we had a good decor. The Senators have a good future on defense, but they needed a stopgap guy and a potential long-term guy with Shabbat to build chemistry. They had that with DeMelo. It really worked last year, and it's not going to happen this year. Jay Ouellette, good trade if we were going to lose him anyway. I guess we got something for him. But the problem is they didn't even offer him a deal. They didn't even put a deal on the table. They just let him go without even offering. Now, clearly that means they were really off. But that just shows you how they value talent in the Senators organization. When they keep Cody Ceci for years and think he's a solid defenseman, and then they let DeMelo go, who's one of the most underrated defensemen with one of the best contracts in the league, it tells you all you need to know. Nick Susi, a C-level prospect, maybe. But still, I don't know. Darren Drager just reported calls coming in Ottawa on Nemestikov. I wouldn't be surprised if he's moved on the days ahead. He's been very good for the Senators, good two-way forward. So there's some breaking news. Vladislav Nemestikov is drawing a lot of trade interest, which I agree with. There's no space for him in the future. We got a 4th-round pick for him. If we can make Vladislav Nemestikov a 3rd or 2nd-round pick, that would be a win. I'd also take a 3rd-rounder and a prospect for Vladdy, considering we got a 4th for him. Gave a 4th for him. So a 3rd and a prospect for Vladislav Nemestikov, who isn't exactly he isn't exactly, a top-line guy, but he's a solid 3rd-line guy. A team like, I don't know, I could see a team like Edmonton, if they don't get like a Mike Hoffman for Vladislav Nemestikov, I could see them doing that, adding a little bit of a scoring punch. Overall, so Vladislav Nemestikov might be traded soon, but overall, this is just disappointing. It's a disappointing day. Sens fans really grew, attached to Dylan DeMelo, which we're used to a lot of our players being traded. You got Mark Stone, you got Alfie being signed by Detroit, you got Karlsson being traded, Mark Stone, you got Hoffman. Well, when he goes traded, it wasn't really that sad, but you get the idea. Senators fans are used to losing the players they love, but it doesn't hurt less every time. It hurts the same. Okay, so there's something about Gord Wilson. I'm just going to read this right now. Gord Wilson had a heart attack on Sunday. So he's okay now. So best wishes to him and Gord Wilson. overall, just terrible news. Glad to see he's doing better, though, after a scary heart attack scare. So it's good to see that Gord Wilson's doing better. Matthew Gregory had demanded first round for Jean-Gabriel Pageau, 100%. The market should require Sanders to get a first-round pick for Jean-Gabriel Pageau. He's the best forward available after Kreider, in my opinion. So, without a doubt. I can see a team like Colorado getting in on a guy like Pageau. David Lake, I'm sorry, but my heart's broken. Our general manager needs to pack his bags and get the heck out of here. I agree. In some ways, Pierre Dorion has made some good trades, but he really fell flat on this one. I want to make this live stream because for two reasons. I like to interact with the fans. We haven't done a live stream in a while. As well, it's breaking news. I don't really want to make a video because it's 3-4 minutes. This live stream's going to end, not going to be for too much longer, but it's still nice to interact with you guys and girls. To recap, really, it's just DeMelo, really underrated defenseman, really good help the Jets blue line, who they're in a playoff battle right now, and they needed some defensive depth, and they got it here with DeMelo. It's a good deal for the Jets, a bad deal for Ottawa, and if you're a Jets fan, you should be happy. This team could push you. This trade will push you closer to a playoff spot. Nick Susi, I love your videos. I'm going to the game tonight. Hopefully I'll see you there. I'm going to the game as well. SENS Twitter wasn't happy, I'll tell you that. A lot of people were upset. But now I'm just interested. I was planning on doing a video tomorrow. I'll announce it in my video today. I'm doing a live stream tomorrow to talk about who I think are going to get traded. I was hoping no one would get traded before. Unfortunately, DeMelo has been traded. But if you're a Sens fan or hockey fan watching right now, firstly, thank you for watching. Secondly, I will be doing a live stream tomorrow. I'll announce it in my video tonight probably, or tweet it out tomorrow. I'll be doing a live stream to talk about who I think should get traded and for what. Should be like a 20-30 minute live stream. So stay tuned for that. Besides that, thank you all for watching. I appreciate the support. So good luck to Dylan DeMelo in Winnipeg. Hopefully you do well there. And best of wishes to DeMelo. Good to miss the guy. He was really good in his 2 years, 2 years here. Too bad he couldn't really do much more, but it's really unfortunate. I'm sure the Sanders locker room is a little torn here, but this is a business, and there's nothing you can do about it. Sanders recall Andreas Englund in response to DeMelo being traded. Thank you for watching. Please follow us on Twitter at @SensTalk_. Follow 2 days for the games, of course, breaking news. And I'll see you later tonight after Chris Phillips, number 4, is forever retired to the rafters at the Canadian Tire Center. Thank you all for watching. Dylan DeMelo, best of luck in Winnipeg. And I'll see you later tonight for the Senators versus Buffalo Sabres recap video. I'll see you then. And I'll see you, if you're still watching this, on Wednesday, I'll have a live stream talking about the trade deadline. So I'll see you in the next few hours. Go Sens go. And good luck in Winnipeg, Dylan DeMelo.